What's up, everybody? Adam Mentality World here, discussing UFC 189's Conor McGregor versus Chad Mendes and why UFC 189 is a huge opportunity for Chad Mendes and not for UFC fans. The reason why I believe so is because Chad Mendes is thrown in at the last minute, but he is a legitimate fighter. He is a contender for the belt. He wasn't like the number 5 or number 15 ranked guy in that division. He is the number 1 contender for that division. He is Jose Aldo, then Chad Mendes. He's fought Jose Aldo twice. First time, Jose Aldo got kind of lucky, whatever you want to call it, and he knocked him out at the very first round, at the very last second, and laid him out. The second time they fought, Chad Mendes went all the way to the decision. That is huge, people, to go from being knocked out the first round to going 5 entire rounds. Jose Aldo couldn't even finish Chad Mendes. And Chad Mendes, he fought Ricardo Lamas not too long ago, and he finished him by knocking him out. That was like the number 3 guy. That's also huge. So it wouldn't be hard to say that the odds of Chad Mendes winning are very large. Conor McGregor, he comes in with a lot of popularity, a lot of people loving him, hating him because of the way he talks. And yeah, he talked his way to that title fight. But you know what he also did? He earned it by talking his way to that title fight. People forget that the UFC, people don't care if it's just 2 people fighting, okay? This isn't like Rome where the people fought and they fought to the death and people are like, oh, who's that guy? I don't know. He's just some guy and that's another guy just watch them kill each other. No, people get behind fighters because they like their personality. People don't know Jose Aldo's personality. Not a lot of people know Chad Mendes' personality, but people know about Conor McGregor because he talked his way into that fight, and that's what makes people want to see the fight. Either they want to see Conor McGregor show him exactly what he's talking about and lay out Jose Aldo and beat him, or vice versa. They want to see Conor McGregor get his big mouth shut. That is what sells tickets, and that is what sold UFC 189 until Jose Aldo pulled out because of a broken or cracked rib or whatever you want to call it. He was cleared to fight. He said not to. I'm not saying he's a wussy because I've never had a broken or cracked rib, but I've heard from people who have had it and said it hurts a lot. Okay, that's understandable. But you have to realize you have a title fight within 3 weeks, and it's been talked about for months and months and months. Built up millions of dollars of advertising for this fight, commercials at the wazoo, and then one of your training partners kicks you in the ribs and breaks or cracks a rib. No, this is the 5th time he's come out of a fight. He pulled out because he couldn't fight for whatever reason, and they need to put the hammer down on him and make it where if you can't fight, you don't get the belt. You get your belt stripped from you, okay? I have to work 5 days a week. This guy has to show up to work 2, maybe 3 times a year. If I did not show up, which equates to if you show up to work 3 times a year, that means it's 1 2/3 years with 5 fights he's pulled out. So if you didn't show up for work for 1 year and 8 months, your boss would not hire you or keep you there. That's exactly what Jose Aldo has done. He's pulled out of 5 fights, which is equivalent to, like I said, a year and 8 months. 20 months worth of work for a regular Joe like me or you who pays to see the UFC fighters fight. And he still gets to keep his belt. He's still the real champ. No, Jose Aldo should not be considered the real champ. It should be whoever wins at UFC 189 between Chad Mendes or Conor McGregor. No interim belt, no like, oh, well, you're kind of the champ, but you got to still beat Jose Aldo. No, Jose Aldo couldn't fight. He's not the champ. Whoever wins the belt is the champ. And my big thing is there's been so much money put into this fight for Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. Like I said, millions of dollars. And then now it's being swapped at the last minute with Chad Mendes, who I think is a bigger threat for Conor McGregor than Jose Aldo. Because Jose Aldo, he's more of a striker. He's not a wrestler. And if you watch the UFC, you know that it's all about wrestling. That is the number 1 ability you need to have to be successful in the UFC. Like George St. Pierre, he was champ for so long. He was great at everything. He's great at jiu-jitsu and great at striking. But his number 1 thing was wrestling, because he could determine where the fight goes. He could stand up with you if you wanted to. If he wanted to grab your legs and take you down, he could do that. And he did the old lay and pray where he'd grab you and throw you on the ground. And he would do just enough so that the ref wouldn't stand him up. And the whole time it looks like, oh wow, George St. Pierre beat the heck out of that guy. No, he just got on top of him and held him down the whole time. that's hard to get a full-grown man off of you when they weigh the exact same weight as you. And that's what I feel like Chad Mendes is going to do. He could come out of this fight with no injuries, and same with Conor McGregor, and still win because he's got that wrestling. I said Conor McGregor, he could still pull it off. He could strike and hit him like right when he's coming in and lay him out, kind of like Jose Aldo did to him in the first fight when he went at him and he threw the knee, hit him right in the face, and laid him out and won. But odds are Chad Mendes is going to win this belt. And then what? So Chad Mendes versus Jose Aldo 3. Nobody cares about that fight except for Chad Mendes' family and Jose Aldo's family. It's a lose-lose. So the best we could pray for is that if Chad Mendes does win, then for some reason he gets hurt in training, and then Conor McGregor gets thrown up to the top so they can finally have the Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor fight, which can't happen until like October or something at the earliest. Meanwhile, we've been building up for this for months and months and months, and it finally got here, and then 3 weeks in, it gets called. And if you're a UFC fan like myself, and you're really looking forward to this fight, it really pisses you off, and it really pissed me off because I was looking forward to this fight. They didn't even have it in 4th of July weekend, which was kind of a big mistake. That's when they always have like the big pay-per-view, but for whatever reason they put it the next weekend. So instead of watching it tonight on the 4th of July, I have to wait and watch it in a week. Anyway, that is my rant. We're going to find out on July 11th who is the next interim champion, either Conor McGregor or Chad Mendes. I'm hoping for Conor McGregor because I want him to fight Jose Aldo. But I think Chad Mendes is going to win. He's going to take him to the ground. He might knock him out, but I don't think so. He doesn't have a great submission game, so I don't think Conor McGregor has to worry about that because his only 2 submissions was a rear naked choke and a guillotine, and those are the basics of jiu-jitsu. So odds are he's going to get on top of him and just kind of pummel him a little bit and just wear him out for 25 minutes, and then the ref is going to call him off after 25 minutes, and the judges are going to go, and no, interim champion, Chad Mendes. But there's always hope. Fingers crossed. Let's go, Conor McGregor.